What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action, sporting in the middle of the map with the scroll speed being way too fast. His name is Thorshorsehead, also known as Shadowfaxx. Shadowfaxx, the Thor main, apparently, and he is playing as Thor. This is his Thor Smurf, if you will. If he plays on Shadowfaxx, he'll play kind of random god. If he plays on this account, he'll play like Thor. Kind of the way that the Voobly ladder works for Smurfs is they're kind of okay with you if you play like one god on one account and a different god on a different account to allow you to kind of have that rating difference and be okay not risking your precious points. So that's kind of why this is a thing. Anyways, his opponent today in the blue color, also playing as Thor. His name is Nullus. It's an exciting time to be alive, and we'll see how this game is going to go. So Nullus against Thor's Horsehead. Now, I got some conflicting information in the chat, actually. I thought it was Shadowfaxx, but apparently someone says it's Brickhead. I don't believe you at all. Anyways, so this matchup is incredibly volatile, as we're actually already seeing Nullus do something very, very interesting. Going to be moving his dwarves over to the palm tree over here, getting some straggler chops down, and this is going to allow Nullus to advance incredibly fast to the classical age, because he's not going to have to build himself an ox cart. And what he can actually do here, which is really, really interesting, is if he's already got himself Pig Sticker, which he does, he can kill this rhinoceros and then share the food with the wood on this palm tree and skip yet another ox cart. So Nullus' opening here is going to be banging strong. He's already thrown his temple down. He's going to be advancing so fast here. Thor's Horsehead here, I'm going to call him Shadowfaxx, on the other hand, does not have that option available to him, and he's actually already put his ox cart down. Now, we'll see what he's going to do. He hasn't thrown his temple down just yet, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. The thing is, though, that normally I would say that in the mirror matchup favors the defensive player, but when it comes down to Norse in the mirror matchup, that doesn't apply as much, because your Norse opponent can build incredibly close to you, as we're already seeing that come down. And Nullus right now, he is going to be getting his second ox cart out here, it seems, and he's going to be a little bit delayed. I would have loved for him to advance there, but he's going to go for another dwarf first, get about a 4-minute advance time here. And we'll see how it's all going to go for Mr. Nullus in this game with that super fast advance time. Our friendly neighborhood Shadowfaxx, on the other hand, he's slightly delayed on the temple. He actually could have advanced them, but he's going to be choosing to not advance and instead favor the extra dwarf and ox cart earlier. So this will give him technically a few more resources in the bank than Nullus is going to get. However, it does mean his advance time is going to be a little bit slower. Now, this doesn't necessarily change anything. So long as you're building the Hersor out of the temple, your opponent's not going to really have that many advantages for advancing faster. The only real advantage is he's going to be able to get his longhouse up faster, which potentially means he's going to be able to get himself another, like a 1-unit advantage somewhere along the lines. Because now we are going to be seeing the stray house that Shadowfaxx put down getting taken out. It's going to be a bit of a mistake to do that. Always build your houses kind of as Norse. I feel like the best way to play Norse is to build your houses kind of around your town center like this, so that they're all protected by the town center. And if you want to protect your towers, just use the wall segments to block those off as the easiest way to find some sort of advantage there. Now, what we can now see is that Shadowfaxx has actually got a really, really nice option for this hunt. He can move over here onto these gazelle as he sees all of the Hersor on the top side of the map. Not going to really be able to deny the food all too easily, as we are seeing the Valkyrie moving in, but there's already a Hersor here to push this one away. So no real big problems here for Shadowfaxx in the early game. Going to be dropping both of his longhouses, gets his Valkyrie out. If we jump over to Nullus's perspective, he's already getting his units out, or he's got his longhouse that hasn't started training. Going to be going for some early Ulfsarks here. With them on auto kill, a bit surprised about that. Normally we see like raiding cavalry and stuff, but the early Ulfsarks are going to be able to put some crazy amounts of pressure in the early game on, and that's going to be important. Not only that, we do see a very smart play here from Nullus. Going to be sending one Herso back home in order to defend his resources here. Now, these villagers over here are very much out of position, and if we take a quick look at the map, we see the Valkyrie immediately making its way in onto this position, as we do see the forest fire getting thrown down. This is going to be one of the luckiest Valkyries in the world. You got about a 50% chance of finding these villagers here, as one villager potentially going to be going down here. The rest of these villagers hanging back. We see the Herso coming in onto this position. It might be worth it to drop the forest fire down to just snipe this one off as he sees these villagers here as well. But the villager looks like it will get to safety as this forest fire does get finished off. More walls coming in. There's the forest fire getting dropped onto this position. Both players deciding to get that very, very small amount of economic damage onto their opponent in order to slow everyone down just a little bit. So we'll see if that's going to matter at all in this game, as Nullus is spending his resources incredibly well, whereas Shadowfaxx here, he's got a lot of resources in the bank. So we'll see what's going to happen there, but he does manage to snipe off one of those throwing axemen with his raiding cavalry. Nice play with that beautiful micro there, as Nullus has to retreat his units away there. And he's going to have to find somewhere else to go. So now the Valkyrie's coming in onto this position. Going to find these villagers that are moving right into the middle of the map. It's really smart to have your villagers hunting on top of where your military buildings are, because it means you're going to immediately be able to kind of defend that. But this does seem a little bit difficult in a way for Nullus to be actually gathering with his ox carts here. But he might be able to manage that without too much difficulty. We'll see how that's going to go for him. But more villagers onto wood now for Shadowfaxx, as he's maybe going to think about getting out those throwing axemen. So Shadowfaxx definitely opting into that slower to build, slightly stronger raiding cavalry throwing axemen army, whereas Nullus is going almost full in onto infantry only, and both kind of work here. It really does come down to the micro in the fights, making sure your Ulfsark are targeting down raiding cavalry, and throwing axemen are targeting down Herso or throwing axemen as well. But now we will be seeing that I think that it's a little bit too early for the raiding cavalry to really fight this. If you're playing the raiding cavalry game, it is a little bit easier to just sit back and just hold steady, hold fast, go for raids actually with the raiding cavalry instead of trying to target down those Ulfsarks. As you see the longhouse getting built up here as well. Getting more and more of these buildings as you get more and more villagers out. Very smart. Maybe too many villagers on goal right now. Might want to think about jumping them onto the goats. If we take a quick look at the economic upgrades here, we don't see husbandry for either player, I would assume just yet. But getting early husbandry is always relatively good here to fatten up your goats just a little bit more than they otherwise would be. The earlier you get husbandry, the better it is for your herdables, as these houses are getting still built in the middle of the map. This is super risky. Essentially, what you're saying with building these houses is, if I lose a fight, I lose the game, because not only do you lose the fight, but you also lose the houses. So all of the momentum goes into the other player, and there's no way for you to fight back because you have to spend all this time rebuilding houses. Whereas you could just send one unit back home, like one Ulfsark back home, to build all the houses in the base. And then if you do end up losing a fight, or having to retreat or something, then you're just going to be losing longhouses, which take a long time to kill and can be rebuilt very, very fast. As now we see the Thorshorsehead moving in onto this location, going to look to take down some units here. There is a stray throwing axeman that he can snipe, as well as these villagers here. One villager on this position here he will take down. Nice snipe there by Shadowfaxx. He's going to have to retreat out of here, though, at this point, as he's getting caught, but he does manage to pick the villager out with only taking a couple of hits there to make that happen. Also got the Valkyrie to re-heal it back up, so no real problems there. Now, there is a slight issue going to be arising here for Shadowfaxx, in that he's going to want to move on to these Zebra over here, and he's not really close to that with his army, so he's going to have to move out, and he will actually have to fight if Nullus chooses to fight here. Population differential is 95 to 98, so it's really, really close. as the villagers do make their way up onto this zebra over here, and trying to snipe down some straggler units here, get a couple of shots there, and Shadowfaxx going to be moving out. As Nullus still on the chase. Moving forward here, the unit's going to be kind of high-fiving each other as both players not paying attention. Actually, always crazy when that happens. 2 snipes there at the start here, as now Shadowfaxx completely caught out. This is a really, really bad movement by Shadowfaxx, and this is going to go super in the favor of Nullus. Not only that, Nullus moving his raiding cavalry back as well. More units coming in from the barracks as all of those throwing axemen do seem to fall there, and Shadowfaxx is going to be dropping down in that population. Nullus also somehow losing his population as well, but it does seem like he's managed to snipe the majority of these units, coming out with a big advantage. Now the big thing that Nullus needs to do now is found a slight advantage in this matchup, 88 population to 82, is put the pressure over onto this location here. But the raiding cavalry coming back in with the help of the Valkyrie. We'll see if he's going to be able to take this fight right now. Obviously, he's going to feel a little bit on the back foot here. Nullus with 95 population, lots of food in the bank, can make a ton of Valkyrie here as well if he so chooses, whereas Shadowfaxx is already building his Valkyrie as he's going to be moving in onto this position, trying to take out the throwing axemen from the back. It's a beautiful surround actually onto them, though a couple of those raiding cavalry on the back there aren't actually fighting just yet here, as the throwing axemen doing as best they can. A little bit of stray micro here from this throwing axeman, not sure what that's about, but moving that one around. This is a pretty messy fight. No idea who's really going to win it. I guess that because there's a whole bunch of Valkyrie out for Shadowfaxx here, it's going to be going into his favor just ever so slightly. If you want to avoid building Valkyrie and just go to the heroic age into making Frost Giants, just run around with your units and not fighting is a much better way to go about it. But now, Nullus on the back foot, he's starting to build his own Valkyrie, 79 population and to 92, so somehow, some way, Shadowfaxx makes this work. Armory upgrade-wise, we do see copper mail through for Shadowfaxx as opposed to no armory upgrades for Nullus. So that's going to be a big HP advantage as well for him. Though I guess the throwing axemen don't have their upgrade for medium upgrades, so maybe a little bit more DPS for the Nullus here in this fight. As the houses are going to start going down, little bits of damage being done. The houses coming back up on this position, obviously not going to hurt Nullus all too much right now because he's not at population cap, but still, there are issues all over this map for both players. Really, really weak points on this map for both players to be attacking. Right now, we see one raiding cavalry checking this gold mine, knowing it's nothing is there, means that he knows that the gold miners have to be over here. Not only that, both players are in the kind of middle of the map, hunting over here, hunting over here. So in reality, the best place to attack is not where your opponent actually is here. Could attack the gold, could attack the food, could attack anything, but obviously for Shadowfaxx, picking off these houses is just free value, so why not go for them? As Nullus is almost using them as a time-wasting tactic, but he is going to have to rebuild these back up. As you can see, he's now down to 185 population, whereas Shadowfaxx is at 115 of 115. He does pull back just a little bit, though he probably should be fighting. After taking down those houses, he can get a lot of momentum, but not going for it just yet, allowing Nullus a little bit of time here. So we'll see what he's going to be able to do. As Nullus waiting in here, comes back and throw up the Dwarven Armory on this position here as well, as Nullus thinks maybe next age is possible, starting to throw down some farms. He does have chickens over here, so he doesn't have to throw farms just yet, but he's going to go for it. Not only that, he's got some deers on the bottom of the map, some gazelle on the bottom of the map there as well. As with the armory up, it might be worth it to get yourself the upgrades, and that's exactly what Nullus is going to be going for. Gets himself copper weapons, copper mail immediately. Whereas Shadowfaxx is already going bronze mail, and I do feel like we did see copper weapons getting researched first here by Shadowfaxx, but I do feel like bronze mail in this matchup specifically is better than copper weapons. That survivability potentially means a little bit more time that the units can be spent alive, and more time alive means more DPS, whereas the actual copper weapons just means straight DPS, which you don't get any increased DPS if the unit dies, if that makes sense. As you are seeing cheeky box formation being used here by Shadowfaxx. We'll see if it's going to be working for him as he manages to defend the back of his throwing axeman and push forward onto the front of these throwing axemen. Nice micro there by Shadowfaxx. Going to be blocking or preventing those throwing axemen from actually doing any damage here as he's trying to push forward. Thor's Horsehead here. Shadowfaxx at 115 population. Nullus at 100 population as his units getting carved up very, very fast here. But the Valkyrie numbers slightly favoring Nullus in this fight. We'll see if that's going to matter or not. As these units trying to push in here, trying to take down everything that they possibly can, as it looks to me that Shadowfaxx will be taking this victory in this fight. He's got himself the bonus armor here as well, just barely. Nullus at 80 population. Shadowfaxx also at 80 population, actually. So both players struggling here. Maybe the defender's advantage here, playing super into the pocket of Nullus as he's forcing Shadowfaxx back here. And Shadowfaxx's reinforcements just not coming in fast enough. Maybe not enough military buildings as well. He does have 3 military buildings compared to the 3 of Nullus. Or actually, there's 4 for Shadowfaxx as this forward longhouse does get taken down. The villagers happily eating up the elephant over there as Nullus is getting closer and closer to the next age here at 600 food compared to Shadowfaxx, who's got no food in the back. He's actually on farms here, not going to be eating his elephant, leaving these gazelle over here as well. This is a big reason why Nullus is being able to make his way back into this game. Not going for any farms just yet is a huge advantage for Nullus, and you can see that manifesting in the ability to rebuild this army and still having tons of resources in the bank here. As units of Shadowfaxx going to be searching around, looking for something to target down. Let's take a quick look at what he can actually see here. Looks like he's going to be checking out this gold mine. There's no real reason this gold mine should be getting gathered from. He doesn't know there's a gold mine over here, but he knows there's one on this side. If he takes a look at his own side of the map, he'll know that there's 2 back gold mines here somewhere, and there is a potential for them to be on either side of the map. And right now, Shadowfaxx is making a fairly educated guess that there's villagers down on this side, but unfortunately for him, they are none. As we see the army moving forward, going to be checking out this gold mine as the dwarves all moving on to the other side of the map. Smart move there by Shadowfaxx, but he's still looking for something to attack. He will find these villagers on the wood line. We'll see if he's going to be able to take any out, as the raiding cavalry Valkyrie army of Nullus going to be moving in, trying to take down this temple over here, as Nullus is already advancing through Skadi. This is absolutely huge. Nullus sees the raiding cavalry moving onto this gold mine here, as the dwarves are simply just going to be moving forward into the middle of the map. This is super smart play, super proactive. The raiding cavalry make a full route around the map, not finding any value. And Nullus has bought the time in order to get himself to the heroic age. He might even cast Frost immediately to hit all of these villagers on the farms and this army just slightly, but not happening. What might happen, who knows? But the resources for Nullus are still very much very high. He might even be able to go straight to the mythic age here. Potentially a super early Ragnarok could be game ending for Shadowfaxx, as we do see the attempt to throw down the market already going up. The Frost Giants coming in here as well, and there is Skadi coming through though for Shadowfaxx. He's still a little bit behind, as we do see this Valkyrie going to be trying to take down the Ox Cart over here, as the temple is up for that free Frost Giant to come through, as the army's still just kind of running all around the map. And there's the market here for Nullus. We'll see which god he's going to be choosing to go through, and he does choose Balder. A lot of the time, the early Balder, or the person who clicks Balder first, oftentimes loses. But this might be different because the village is really close to his opponent. What Nullus needs to do is kind of bum rush the hometown center and see if he can stop that mythic age from coming through. Obviously, we still have to remember it's only farms here, so that food income is coming through very slowly. And also, Shadowfaxx is choosing to get this town center up, as we're starting to see the raiding cavalry going to be spamming right in onto this location. Remember, that Frost, if you can use it offensively, hit army and villages, is super value. if you can actually hit that or not. So we'll see how it's going to go as the unit's retreating back over here. There's a ton of villagers here. That's 25 villagers to Frost plus the army. We'll see if Shadowfaxx is going to notice it or not. He doesn't see the gold mine just yet. Not going to be casting Frost there. He's going to be retreating away. Unfortunately, that could have been a really, really big advantage for Shadowfaxx here, but he doesn't realize that that's where the villagers are right now. As Nullus is almost through Balder, he's going to be taking down this longhouse on the front, looking to take down that town center immediately. We see Shadowfaxx getting himself that second town center over here. He's got no market up. He's got very low resources. He will not have access. He's definitely not going to have access to Balder here as we see the frost being dropped onto these units. But guess what? If you cast Ragnarok during frost, these villages become unfrozen, and Nullus is not going to care. He will. I assume he knows this. He might not, but I assume he knows that if he casts Ragnarok, these villages should be able to attack immediately here. As he does hit this Ragnarok cast, go for the town centers immediately. These Ragnarok heroes pop out. They're going to be able to start fighting. We've got 216 population for Nullus to Shadowfaxx's 130 population. Shadowfaxx doesn't have a market up just yet. He's going to be attempting to spam his way up to the next age. But those Rag heroes, all they need to do is rush down the town centers, and there's no way for Shadowfaxx to get himself to the mythic age here. But we'll see if that's what he's going to go for. Technically, I would think if I cast Rag now, I've got about a minute and a half. But it's a little bit more than that at this point. As we see these units getting chased back here. The Frost Giant here going to get taken down very fast by these handful of heroes of Ragnarok. And maybe, just maybe, Shadowfaxx is going to attempt to defend this one without the Rag heroes, as these villagers over here are getting chased down by just a handful of units here, as the dwarves going to pop out, going to be going after these heroes of Ragnarok as best as they can. The town center has got no masons through just yet. The heroes of Ragnarok are going to turn around. We see the villagers micro going as best as it can here for Shadowfaxx here, as the gold mine villagers do get pulled off, and now no chance for Shadowfaxx to get mythic age here. No chance at all. This is going to be all about the defense. Can Shadowfaxx hold this one? Does he have enough to hold against the heroes of Ragnarok with all of those upgrades? He's got full iron, ladies and gentlemen. Full iron, technically no pierce upgrades, but the upgrades that do matter. As this town center are going to go down, and it looks like in that moment, Shadowfaxx will be tapping out. Nullus takes this one with the early Ragnarok, a pretty rare victory there. And honestly, this all comes down to the fact that Shadowfaxx didn't continue to eat food. He had food over here. He allowed Nullus to get both of the elephant packs in the middle of the map, and it was just too much to have to recover from. Not only that, the choice to go for the second town center instead of going mythic age, potentially instead of this town center throwing a market down, going mythic age, you might have got to Ragnarok, might have been fine here to defend. Could have been an interesting game, but didn't go for it, and Nullus gets the dub. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.